recording for the podcast that we are about to do.
How do we start this wonderful podcast this week?
I'll tell you how we start a podcast, how we start a podcast.
Tell me how you're going to start a podcast, podcast.
I start a Wargamers Anonymous podcast, zigga zigga. Or something like that. That was rough. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wargamers Anonymous podcast with myself, Captain Pickle, and my esteemed co-host, Elston from Elston Nation. Welcome to the show. I hope you're all feeling absolutely fantastic, and whatever day it is, whatever time it is, whatever you're doing, I hope that you are just having a lovely time doing whatever it is that you're doing. And I don't. This intro's messed up from the start, but this is the place where you get all of your wargaming chit chat, as well as talk about food and books and general nonsense and deviations from the conversation at large. I'm going to hand over to Elston now, because apparently I've forgotten how to speak and how to form coherent sentences. So Elston, say hello to the lovely people.
Hello to all you lovely people who are enjoying yourself whilst whatever you're doing. As long as you're pleasing yourself, or whatever you're doing is pleasing. Brilliant. Hello. I'm a little bit concerned about me talking now. I'm a little bit self-conscious about what people are doing whilst I'm talking.
Just try not to think about it. Just try not to think about it.
Try not to think about it makes me think about it more.
Okay. How are you? Are you all right?
I am fine. Yeah, I'm good. I'll tell you what. Should we dive straight into what we've been working on? Because I was just about to spill the beans.
It can do if you want. Look at Elsa just wanted to rush through the topics. All right then. Well, what have you been working on then?
Well. The reason why I was saying how am I, because it kind of links in with how I am right now. I am at pretty much the end of my building everything journey.
Wow.
I have one more model to build. It is looking me square in the face right now, and it is about 1.5 feet tall.
You got a Titan?
I'm looking at something big, and it's got a kind of head, and it's got big guns.
Have you got a Titan?
I may have.
What?
Did you not know I was a Titan connoisseur?
What Titan have you got?
I may have a Reaver.
Now, just pretend for a moment that I don't know much about Titan lore. Is that that's not the biggest one? I know that because that's the Warlord one, isn't it?
No, it's the Warlord. Well, the Warlord is the biggest one you can purchase.
Yes, I know. Yeah, because there's a bigger one, but that'd be like
There's two bigger ones.
All right, yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I said. There's two bigger ones. So the Warhound is the smallest one, isn't it?
Yeah, the Warhound everyone resembles it to a dog. It's kind of got a houndish kind of face.
Right.
I have one of those.
Brilliant.
I have the Lucius? I think it's a Lucius pattern one, which is more like a... they call it the jackal head, so it's very much more boxy rather than like the curved lines on it.
Right.
I've got one of those. They don't make them anymore now. I don't think they were that popular, so they stopped making them.
So this other one then, is it a Reaver one, did you say?
Reaver.
Yeah, so
Reaver.
Is that bigger? That's bigger than the Warhound then?
Yes, it's bigger than the Warhound.
Cool.
It's so you go Warhound, Reaver, Warbringer, Warlord, Warmaster, and then Imperator.
Cool.
So those are the classes I know.
So it's Warhound, then Reaver, then something else, and then Warlord.
Yes.
Oh, so it's pretty big then.
It's big, yeah. It is. As I said, it's about 1.5 feet.
And then here's me terrified to paint my Silent King model because it's big.
It is about. If you want to take the entire height of the Silent King, like on base and everything, it's probably about double that height.
Wow. To be fair, I've always wanted to paint. I want to do a knight I'd love to paint a knight because it'd just be fun, and I'd love to paint a Titan. It's one of those dreams that I've got is to own a Titan one day and to paint it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing because it hurts your wallet.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Well, I don't need to imagine. I know how much it costs, so.
Yeah, it's a strange thing because the assembly takes ages. The cleanup first takes ages and get everything off the gates, and then the assembly takes ages. You have to do it all in part assemblies, and then the painting takes ages, and then you have to stick everything together. And then at the end of it, you've sunk like 200 hours into one model, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, like, cool, what's next?
Yeah, you kind of start questioning your life choices. You're like, what do I do now?
Brilliant. So that's literally the last thing you've got to build then? And then that's all your stuff built, apart from your Horus Heresy stuff, which you said you're waiting on.
That is exactly it. However, I may have stumbled into a deal for May the 4th, which we'll be talking a little bit about later on. So I may have a few more models on the way, but we'll wait and see. I don't know when they're actually arriving. I don't know when these deals land, but
So I thought that they were on pre-order and that they would arrive after the fact. But then I know some people that have ordered stuff and it's turned up. So
yeah,
I don't know. Like, because like Bram ordered his stuff, and then it's most of it's arrived, I think now.
Yeah, so it was weird that I saw that, and I'm scratching my head. I'm basically not getting my hopes up. It's all being delivered by Asmodee, and if anyone wants to know about Asmodee and delivery and expectations,
did you order yours?
Basically,
have you ordered yours? Where have you ordered yours from?
No, I ordered mine from Firestorm.
Oh right, I was going to say.
I've got affiliate. Hashtag I've got affiliate link. But they obviously Asmodee have to deliver to the stores to do all that and supply that. Anyone that's got previous history and knowing about Asmodee and delivering and just don't hold your breath, okay? Just don't hold your breath.
I guess it's sort of one of those things where if you've ordered a bundle and they've got the stuff in stock already and you were lucky enough to get your order in earlier on, then they'll send you stuff out and anyone that's sort of delayed in doing the bundle order will get their stuff when it turns up, I guess.
I believe that's how they're doing it. It depends on the store I think you're ordering from. I think Firestorm are literally just going to wait until they get their order in, and then they'll ship it straight back out, regardless of how long it's going to take.
That's fair.
Depends on store to store, I guess.
So I saw that you built your droids.
I did. I found an efficient way of building them, so I managed to get a lot done in quite a rapid amount of time.
So I've only built one unit of the droids. They are on my sort of imminent to-do list now that I've sort of got the core of my Age of Sigmar army built and painted, and it's just a case of adding to that. The Star Wars Legion stuff is the next on my... It's the next big project I've got. I want to clear some of my Necrons off because I've got the Silent King, I've got a Ghost Ark, a Doomsday Ark, I've got a Command Barge, and I've got like 10 Immortals and some Leech Guard that are all sort of sat... I haven't got anywhere to put them, so they're sort of sat out on top of some drawers. So I want to get sort of at least some of those done and in the cabinet. Before I start on a bigger project. But yeah, my droids are the next big project. I've got a lot. I've got a lot of them. It's like stuff that I've bought like brand new, and then stuff that I've got from Murfield. So like some of it's assembled, some of it's not. But yeah, that's gonna be my next. It was so. Let you into a little behind the scenes secret. I was planning on doing like the entirety of my Star Wars stuff, like all of my droids, the few clones that I've got, all the like separatist leaders and all that, everything that I'd got basically. I was planning on doing it all for one massive video for May the 4th.
Right. Sounds insane.
Yeah, well, I've been busy, and like realistically for that project, I would have had to have started that like probably like a month and a half ago.
If you were me, but like even with you, I think you probably take possibly even. I don't. Well, actually, I was going to give you.
If I was focused solely on that and not doing anything else, then
the mythical time of not having other stuff
yeah,
to
exactly.
do.
Then I could get it. I reckon I could get all the stuff built in a week. Like.
Okay, yeah, it's doable.
That's obviously around work and stuff. That's not like a full 24 hours a day week. That's just you know, in the evening, a couple of hours, get a couple of units built, and then do you know what I mean? I could do that, and then it's a case of painting it. But then when you're filming everything, it takes like twice as long, if not more.
Yeah.
And then there's the edit and stuff, and in that meantime, I wouldn't be able to put any other content out. And I already had a massive gap in March where I didn't put anything out.
Yeah.
Because I was just so busy with other stuff. So yeah, it's a project for the future. But this week, in terms of what I've been working on, I have done something for May the 4th. I'm not going to spoil what it is because there's a video coming out on May the 4th. So you'll have to wait and see for that because this podcast will be out before then and I don't want to spoil the surprise. So yeah, that video's coming out May the 4th. I think since the last podcast, I think I've actually had 2 videos go out.
You had your shelf.
So yeah, the paint rep video went out on Tuesday this week, I think, or Wednesday.
Yep.
Tuesday, I think. And then the video before that went out was it last Sunday? That was my Drowned Earth board build.
Yes, yeah. You, Ben, and Luke all kind of did a collab thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I've actually been very productive. I've got loads of stuff painted in the meantime. I've been working on my Age of Sigmar orcs. I think I mentioned that on the last podcast. I've basically got 1,000 points, nearly. I need to buy another. What do I need to buy now? I think
big things.
In fact, no, I've got 1,000 points built and painted now. Next on my list to buy is another 3 units of Manskewer Bolt Boys, so that I can have two units that are like reinforced twice each. So I would have 18 Manskewer Bolt Boys. Because they are disgusting.
The beardiness is in play.
Yeah, they're just horrible. They just dish out a lot of mortal wounds. I really enjoyed Age of Sigmar. I've played quite a few games. I played against Boffnet a lot last weekend, and not last 2 weekends ago. And then I've played in my local store. Me and Luke are planning on having a game. I'm going to show him how to play. He's got some Stormcasts. So yeah, nice. It should be good.
Nice. I've got. I actually had a game of 40k. I've had a couple of games of 40k since the last podcast with my Tyranids, and oh my god, are they broken? Oh dear lord! Like so, you're familiar with Mortal Wounds from Age of Sigmar, right?
Yeah. I'm familiar with Mortal Wounds from 40k.
Okay, right. So there is a unit which called a Malceptor in Tyranids, and that unit dishes out, not on average, but pretty much guaranteed, every single psychic phase, 12 mortal wounds.
That's disgusting.
Plus the effects of smite in any other psychic powers.
See, stuff like that, like being done in the psychic phase as well, that's especially bad for my Necrons.
It's especially bad for everyone because no one has that kind of psychic defense.
Yeah, well,
even Thousand Sons and Grey Knights.
Like my Necrons don't get to do reanimation protocols against psychic attacks.
Oh god!
Because it's only against like being shot at or like attacked in melee. It don't count psychic stuff. It's because of how the writing, how it's written. They don't get it in the psychic phase.
So interestingly as well, I went up against orcs. Do you think orcs would be kind of relatively good on the psychic defense because of their whole weird mentality? And they are relatively half decent at defense, and they didn't stand a chance. And that unit is getting nerfed to hell very soon.
Oh yeah,
because that cannot stand.
Because Games Workshop's put a codex out, everyone goes out and buys the really horrible, bad, like over amazing thing, and then they'll nerf it, and then you'll see them all on eBay for super cheap.
Yeah, I know. They're on eBay for like £100 right now for some stupid reason. You can buy them from Games Workshop for £40. You're like, I don't understand why they're on eBay for that much.
Brilliant. So other than my orcs that I sort of worked on a bit more since the last podcast, I added a few more Bolt Boys to them. Other than that, I've been painting the thing for my May the 4th video. And then on this week's live stream, I painted a tiny dog. It's from the Animal Adventures. It's like a beginner's RPG game. It's like 5th edition rules, but like quite fairly simplified. From Steamforged Games. I bought it Wendy for birthday or Christmas, and it comes with a few. It's all dogs and cats. And I fancied painting something a bit different. So it's a little bit smaller scale because they're like D&D scale models. So it was a little bit smaller, a little bit different to paint. But yeah, painted that. I need to get it based.
I think I've got some of those models somewhere. I think I went in on a. I think I went in on a Kickstarter for the first one. They were talking about the dogs that are like rogues, wizards, and all that stuff, right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure I've got some of those lying around somewhere.
Yeah, well, I painted one of the dogs. I've got the expansion set that's got I think it's got like 6 different cats in it, different classes.
Nice.
Which I'm going to get done at some point. But just something a bit different. That's pretty much all I've been working on this week.
Nice.
Nice. We've been going for like 16 and a half, 17 minutes now.
We haven't even got to the main topic.
Which is probably like the longest rambling intro that we've ever done. But
we've been busy.
We have been busy. We've only spoke to each other a couple of times. Normally we speak to each other sort of a couple of times a week.
At least that. But we've not really had much of a chance.
No, we've been a bit busy, so it's nice to have a bit of a catch up. But we should get on to the main topic for this week. Now, this week's topic is your idea.
It's my idea.
So we tend to sort of alternate between us. So this week it's your suggestion for the main topic. So I'll let you introduce it and explain what we're going to be talking about.
Okie dokie. So in this week's main topic, we're going to talk about inspiration for your hobby. And this is a broad subject, but I wanted to talk about some positive ways of inspiring yourself or finding inspiration for your hobby, whether it be gaming, whether it be actual hobby as in modeling or painting, and various different things like that. So I've got a couple of ideas on tips and tricks that you can do for finding inspiration. If you're ever stuck in a bit of a dead end, you've hit that mental block or that creative block, and you're just up against a wall and you really don't know what to do, there are some things I think that people can do, and I want to share them with you, and we'll have a bit of a discussion about other things that other people, like Pickle, may have done in the past about finding inspiration for their hobby. So, inspiration with your hobby. Pickle, where do you find your inspiration for your hobby?
Well, it's kind of a difficult question to answer. So, like, a lot of the time, so I'm going to answer this question in 2 different ways. There's me answering from a hobbyist's point of view.
Sure.
And then there'll be me answering from a content creator point of view.
Okay.
Because I think it's important to note that those are often, like, sometimes there'll be overlap, but a lot of the time there'll be very different reasons for why I'm doing something. So first off, like, from the hobby point of view, I get inspired by looking at other people's stuff, like scrolling through Instagram, seeing someone that's painted like a unit of whatever, like Leech Guard or something that I've got sat waiting to paint, and I'll see it painted and I'm like, oh, that's really nice, I should get mine painted. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm inspired and I'm going to use the same colour scheme or something, but sometimes just seeing other people painting stuff that I have that I need to paint makes me want to paint it. Just because I'm sort of like, oh, I want to get mine done. So that's kind of one of the ways. Sometimes it's stuff like if I'm out and about, or if I see something else, or I see like a nice colour combination, I think, oh, that might look quite nice for an army colour scheme or something like that. That's what happened with my orcs for Age of Sigmar. I saw, I can't remember what I was watching. I was watching like some 80s thing. and like the colours that were used and stuff. And I'm like, oh, do you know what? They actually work really well together. I wonder if they'd work. And that's what I've ended up painting my orcs. Is that it's very sort of 80s, like, you know, the sort of pale blue, orange, purple.
Yeah.
It's almost
retro.
Like it's almost like the carpet that you used to get in cinemas.
Yeah, I remember those.
So so sometimes it's stuff like that. Now, I also get stuff like, I don't want to just give all my answers because I feel like we should probably do a bit of a back and forth. But from like a content creator's point of view, just briefly, like sometimes I'll be wanting to do something, but like just painting, you know, if I've got like, you know, a few Space Marines to paint or some Necrons to paint, it's sort of like, well, can I do a video on this? And then it's sort of like, well, what is the video about? Because if it's just about me painting some models and that's it, then it's not really worth me doing a video on it, because, you know, there's hundreds of those sorts of videos out there. Like if it's like a really easy way to do a particular color scheme or a particular technique, then maybe there's some value in it. If it's, you know, but so a lot of the time with content creation is sort of finding a story to tell that's not just here's me painting a model. So sometimes the choices of projects that I do and, you know, that I'm inspired to do come about because of a video idea and not necessarily because of like something else that I've seen or been inspired by, sort of thing. So it's it's a weird one.
It's a motivation or a motivation which generates inspiration.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. Yeah. So what about you? How do you, like, where do you sort of get your ideas from and get inspired?
So this is an interesting thing because, quite rightly, as you said, though, there are different mindsets which generate different kinds of inspiration, effectively. And I want to just touch on another element which is probably quite a prominent one, is actually the gaming side of things as well. A unit that's good, a unit that you want in your army, that will kind of force inspiration or at least motivation to get something done. Now, when it comes to how you start or how inspiration is generated, I don't always think it's intentional. I think it's very much a case of a lot of the times it will just happen. You are walking along, you see something, that idea pops into your head, and it instantly fires off inspiration. Now, that could be from looking on Instagram, as you said, looking at those other people's work. I find it I force inspiration sometimes by looking at things outside of the hobby to kind of create a parallel with the hobby.
Yeah.
And the most common thing is one of my most recent videos where I combined xenomorphs from Aliens with the Tyranids. And I'd always wanted to go back to doing a Tyranid army. I love Tyranids. I love just that monster vibe for a thing. And I really wanted an army. And the idea of making them into xenomorphs was kind of always a parallel which always ran side by side. And I was like you watch Alien, and sometimes you just force yourself to watch the movies and just think, God, it would be cool to have an entire army of those. And I kind of forced myself into thinking, right, I've got to try and do a Xenomorph Tyranid army, because this is just it's just something it was like a forced inspiration which I had to do. The problem is, why it wasn't done sooner is the technology wasn't available to pull it off. Ever since the world of 3D printing's come into play, though, stuff like a Tyranid Xenomorph army is far more achievable. And I think this also leans into inspiration as well, is what is available at any given time. What is actually possible to do that? So, for example, I want to point out a channel, Essex Boys, friend of ours for a long time now, and he does orc scrap builds. And I would say a lot of the time he is just using junk. And it's probably what's available to him, and he makes these amazing creations. And he's not the only one. There are tons of orc players which just make vehicles or death machines just out of junk. And they get their inspiration from that junk to make cool-looking vehicle junk, which is amazing. So this inspiration from the inspiration for the hobby does come from multiple places, and I wouldn't necessarily I have one particular one. I do try and force myself as a new point of a way of being when I'm starting a new project is to look at something outside the hobby. This is kind of my new default kind of scenario.
Yeah.
So if I'm stuck on a color scheme, I don't know what a colour scheme is. Something that's tied together and sewn together with a nice colour. I try and force myself to find something outside of the wargaming environment that my brain will recognise. The most common thing are either something in sci-fi or fantasy or something in nature. Because weirdly enough, your brain relates to it and it instantly triggers off a kind of like a receptacle or a natural instinctive reaction towards it if it's relatable. It's like a weird thing. I've delved into my brain a bit too much on this one, so everyone just bear with me while I unravel this mystery of chaos that's going on. Is when you see it, and as I said, if you've recognized it from nature, you get the visceral reaction of whatever it was. So, for example, if you've taken your colours from flowers, for example, if you've seen those flowers, like a rose red, you know that those relate to roses. So could inspire either lust or passion or anger. And all of those things are related to a visceral reaction towards a colour. So again, deep diving into your brain sees colours and it does instant things. So I like to think taking something outside of the wargaming, taking something from nature or something that I've seen in a movie and dropping that into wargaming instantly gives me an edge over everything else because people see it and they go, oh, that's like that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my new default. And it's not the way everyone should do it. I would say if you are struggling for inspiration, give it a try. It's quite handy. It's as you found out with your orcs, probably watch some kind of 80s retro movie or something like that, I'm assuming.
Yes, and I can't remember what it was I was watching. I don't even think it was anything that I was watching like on purpose. It was just sort of something in the background. And it was just the colours. And you know, you just have that sort of like a moment of clarity. Sort of like,
that looks cool.
I think that has sort of I'd been trying to paint these orcs for since Dominion came out. And I've just not been able to settle on a colour scheme for them. And I wasn't actively looking for one because by this point I'd sort of like not given up, but I was sort of like, do you know what? When I find a colour scheme, I'll know. And I was watching something. I was sort of like, that might actually work. And I did have to tweak it a little bit. Like I did an initial 4 that I painted and tested, and they looked all right. But then I tweaked it a little bit for the rest of them. But yeah, I'm happy with how they look. Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. I wasn't particularly looking for it. I just sort of saw some colours together and thought that looks quite nice.
And here's and to kind of divert a little bit away from the colour side of things as well. Is if you're stuck in a rut with like a game system as well and you need a break, you need something different, look for the other games and they trigger inspiration just from either nostalgic effect or something you recognize. So, for example, good old May the 4th is just around the corner and everyone's a bit Star Wars happy right now, which is fine. It's great. As we discussed at the beginning, we're doing our Star Wars things. If, for example, you're getting a little bit tired of 40k or Age of Sigmar or your Games Workshop in general, have a look at some of the Star Wars games. You don't have to be committed to it, but you could just start it up and you go, oh, cool, this is complete, because it is a completely different mindset. for example, if you're starting a brand new game system, you have no idea what the meta is. You just roll with it.
Yeah, just play for. I want to get these because they look cool. Let's do it.
Exactly, and I've got all of that is happening with Marvel Crisis Protocol with me because it's just cool. I'm not even too fussed about the game, but like
I've still
massively
never played the game.
I have a couple of times. It's a little bit confusing. You can throw people, which is a weird mechanic.
Yeah, you can throw buildings, can't you, as well?
Yeah, if you're Thor, you can throw a building, which is just like, really? You just get kaplowed by buildings, and it is chaos. But yeah, so for example, in that, I'm full on. Every time I look at Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff, I'm like nostalgic overload because I'm like the like 90s X-Men cartoon show just kicks straight back into life with me.
Yeah.
So again, that fires off inspiration because I don't even really need inspiration. I'm motivated just off of the nostalgia inspiration, if you will.
Yeah.
So, what I'm trying to allude to is basically, if you're stuck in a rut, look somewhere else. A lot of people like power through and they push into the block and they try and deal with something. If you're having trouble with a color scheme, look somewhere else. If you're having trouble with like a design aesthetic, look somewhere else. Go for a walk even, because nature provides a hell of a lot of stuff on its own right.
Yeah, I mean, I did like a video pretty much on that a while back.
Right.
I just got out. I think I'd just got out. I'd gone out for a walk to sort of get some fresh air and just sort of reset a bit. I was on a little bit of a hobby, not drought, but I was sort of like, I don't really know what to do. Like, I'd not got any motivation to paint anything in particular. So I'd gone out for a bit of a walk to there's like some woods near where I live. And like see all the colours and stuff, like nice, because it was just been the height of summer, so like nice, vivid, bright greens, and stuff like that, and like lots of natural colours. And while I was out, I like made some notes. I was like, I want to paint some orcs or something, because of like the colours that I'd seen. And then when I got back, I'd had a delivery of my Warp Kickstarter backing had turned up. So I painted some of them, and yeah, I sort of tried to emulate some of the colours that I'd seen and stuff, and that was a bizarre weekend of like, I'd not gone out specifically like for anything, but while I was out, I sort of felt like, oh, these colours are really cool, like, and I want to try and replicate them somehow.
Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting thing when it comes to orcs as well, specifically. A little while back, I shared a little tip out with the world. I didn't put a video out on it. I really do need to do a video on it. Is about painting orc skin and how to make it look realistic. And like this was like a weird thing that it seemed to blow a lot of people's minds. Was just, I was like, just add normal human flesh tones to it. And they were like, what? I was like, add normal flesh tones to like the green and create highlights off of that. And everyone lost their minds because what happens is it triggers an instinctive reaction in your brain to go, oh, I recognize that color.
Yeah.
They look really cool.
Yeah.
And there's no logical reason, apart from that one thing, there's no logical reason why it looks better. Apart from that looks a bit more like a human. I can relate to that. And therefore that orc looks better. Which is weird. And it's a strange thing, but yeah. If anything, just look around for inspiration. Don't try and force it, I think is what I'm trying to allude to. Yeah. It's weird. I thought I had a lot more to say, but I think I've just put the nail in the coffin on the conversation. And I was like, oh, that was all that was rocking around in my brain.
I mean, it's one of them. It's one of those topics that's kind of really easy to answer, but then at the same time, there's like a million different answers because everyone will have a different answer and a different place where they get inspiration from for projects and for stuff. And then, because it's like, I mean, from my answers, I've pretty much just talked about painting, as in like colour schemes and stuff like that. Whereas like you've talked about like the modelling of the models themselves, like with the 3D printed xenomorph heads and stuff. And other people, like, you know, will get inspiration for kit bashers, and it'll be from something in the lore, or, you know, like, and we'll touch on this a little bit later on, but like a cool character they've read in a book, and they're then going, I wonder if I can make that character, and like,
right,
sort of stuff like that. So there's literally an infinite amount of places to get inspiration from, and it's just a case of sometimes it's emulating something and trying to recreate something. Sometimes it's taking something and then applying that in a different medium, like me with the colours that I saw and using that to paint models. Sometimes it's an idea of combining things, like you did with your Xenomorph and Tyrannosaurus. And sometimes you'll not even be aware of where you've got the inspiration from, because it'll be something that you've seen, but you've not like actively taken note of. But it's there, like in the back of your mind, and then later on when you go to do some painting or where you go to build something, you'll be doing it without even realizing that you're doing it. So it's
I think that's one of the things to maybe sort of realize is be slightly conscious of what you're doing, and feel like if you're watching a movie and you're really enjoying it, maybe take a second to realize why you're enjoying it, and then see if any of that can be taken away and put into something. So if you're really into Marvel stuff, be like, well, what can I do that's related to Marvel? Can I make all of my guys look like Spider-Man?
It's like stuff like that is it's looking at things in a different way. Like, I mean, this isn't, well, it is sort of hobby related for me, but like how I watch films now is I'll generally watch a film and then I'll go back and I will watch how it's shot and make mental notes of like the camera work and the like different like positioning and framing of stuff, because I'm getting more and more into filming. Like now that's what I'm doing. Like with Luke, I'm filming his videos, trying to put a bit more effort into filming mine, and watching films, TV shows, documentaries, all this sort of stuff, and looking at how they're filmed. Like I've always enjoyed watching like behind the scenes stuff. Like I love Lord of the Rings, but I infinitely like the like 9 or 13 or whatever, how many hours it is of behind the scenes stuff, like the making of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
like it's looking at that sort of stuff, especially now where I'm applying that knowledge as well, rather than just watching it for fun. It's getting inspired from stuff like that. Like there's some like, even if it's just like how I'm filming stuff, getting inspired by how other stuff's shot and filmed. And like something, I go, right, I want to film this video and I want to film it like, I don't know, whatever film or whatever TV show, and have a go at that.
Yeah, and it's really interesting as well, because you can see quite definitively in a lot of content creators their inspiration. So for example, Michael from That One Videos, he's big into like Skyrim and Lord of the Rings, and you can see that pretty evidently in his content. Likewise, Ben from Benji's Hobbies, he's kind of Lord of the Rings, but he's not predominantly focused Lord of the Rings. Obviously he does a lot of other content as well. And you can obviously get inspiration from other people. Like if you're watching the YouTubers and they do a trick, or they do a technique or a color scheme, you really like it, obviously you're welcome to copy it. If I were to give any advice on that particular side of things, I would probably say take a second and see how you can put your own spin on it, because making it unique and your own is just something beautiful. But obviously, as you say, it's kind of easy to answer and it's kind of not easy to answer. Inspiration will come when it comes a lot of the times, but you can do certain things to kind of push it and make it happen regardless of where you are, what you're doing, you can do certain things to trigger inspiration. I basically say try and avoid routine. If you really desperately want to keep on routine, just take a slightly different look at it, which kind of breaks routine anyway. If you want inspiration, break your routine. That's going to be my statement for this video.
Yeah,
break your routine.
I guess that's the easiest way to sort of summarize it. Really, is if you're stuck doing the same things over and over again, then you're not going to see anything new. And if you don't see anything new or do anything new, you're not going to then get that sort of jolt or burst of like, oh, well, what about if I do this? Whereas if you push yourself, try new things, do something different, it will give you that. It'll give you different input, which you can then process and use however you want to.
And we all love inputting.
Yeah,
always.
And on that note, I think that's the end of the main topic.
Aye.
I think that about does it.
Which one are we doing? Are we doing the best one, or are we doing book club first?
We're doing the best one because we're going to go from inspirational input to food
to input. Input in my mouth. Input.
So this is the section of the show. This is Snack Attack, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we take either something that we've come up with, or more often than not at the moment, user suggested, viewer/listener suggested foods and drinks. User, yes.
They're a user of Wargamer Anonymous.
Yes. That makes it sound like we're a drug.
It does. We are potentially, only take us in moderation.
Yeah, we're just a gateway drug.
Just only take us in moderation.
So yeah, we we take suggested snacks and drinks, foods that you would eat, or potentially while you are enjoying your favorite wargaming games, tabletop games.
Whatever you're doing and pleasing yourself and taking input from us.
So this week we are trying. These have been suggested by Gina Doherty.
Doherty, because I love saying it. Yep. Doherty, because I love saying it that way.
Who is an absolutely amazing supporter of myself and Elston's channel and of Wargamers Anonymous. Yeah. So thank you very much for the suggestion, Gina. So we are trying the Tangy Worms. They are a gluten-free, plant-based sweet from Jealous Sweets.
So you haven't tried these yet, have
I've not tried them yet. No, I ordered 3 bags. And Wendy's had some, or all of her bag. I don't know. I've got 2 bags.
I'm already eating them.
But you're already right. Okay. Well, while you're eating, so I'm assuming we've got the same one. So I've got apple and lemon, strawberry and orange.
Yeah, it's the ones. Yep. Yeah, they come in. They different combos. Like it's kind of like a random combo. So you might get orange and strawberry. You might get apple and orange.
Just reading a bit on the back of the packet then. It says, at Jealous Sweets, we make shamelessly tasty sweets set up by 2 mates to bring some fun back to the everyday. Our junk-free sweets are made for everyone to enjoy. We're obsessed with giving you the best, which is why we make our sweets without fakery or fluffy animals, so you can treat yourselves better. So these are... gluten-free, plant-based, so I believe that these are vegan-friendly?
Possibly vegan-friendly.
I'm trying to find a thing that says that they are. But
I can't see...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it says there. The vegetarian and vegan-friendly. So if you are a vegetarian or vegan, then these are okay to eat, which is quite nice, I guess, because most sweets are like gelatin-based.
Yep.
Which is obviously...
These are really good.
No. Right, I'm going to open the packet now. Here we go. Listen to this. That was me opening the packet. Well, they smell.
Oh, mate.
They smell nice.
Wait, you're in for a treat.
Let's try some. Okay. You need to talk for a bit while I'm trying them.
Okay. Oh, I want to hear your reaction.
Oh, these are sour. Not like super sour, but like
No, but they're a nice texture. They're not like normal like jelly sweets. They kind of crush. They're not overly sticky.
Yeah.
which is quite nice. And they kind of chew quite nicely. I absolutely love these things. They are so cool. How are you feeling so far?
Oh, they're nice.
Well, I know, right?
Oh.
The problem is you keep on eating them. You're like, I don't know when to stop.
Yeah. Oh, they are nice. And they don't leave...
And
sometimes when you eat like sour sweets, like if I eat like Tang Fast sticks or something, they kind of leave like a weird, not aftertaste so much, but like they leave like
I
something.
know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? These don't seem to do that. I mean, I've only had like a handful, so
they are like oddly refreshing sweets.
yeah.
They're really weird. Really nice though. Like really good. Yeah. So, what flavors have you had so far?
All of them, I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I've not been looking. I've just been
You're
grabbing
just pushing them
handfuls.
into your mouth.
Yeah, I've just been shoving them in my face. I think I must have had something of all of them. There's only 2 different ones because they're in like duos, aren't they? Like the half and half. Like each worm is half and half.
I thought there was. I thought I had ones which were just strawberry.
No, there's apple and lemon is like one. If you look on the front of the packet, you can see it's like green and yellow, and then there's red and orange, which is the strawberry.
No, I've got an orange and yellow.
Oh, right, okay.
There's others in here. I swear I've had just like a strawberry one before.
I might be wrong.
Possibly
then.
an orange one.
Maybe it's just a malformed one. I don't know.
Yeah, either that or they just like something went wrong when they made it. I don't know, but yeah.
Well, they're very nice.
I don't know. All right, rating.
Yes, rating.
What are you thinking?
On this section, we rate them. We started as of last week with the new sort of sub ratings that we give them as well. So we have the finger residue.
Was it contamination? Was that what we used?
It's finger residue, oil index.
Yeah.
And the weight to chew ratio.
Yeah.
Are the things that we rate them on. And then we give an overall score at the end.
Weight to chew ratio then, starting off, what do you think? I reckon it's good.
I think, well, the bag is fairly, not heavy, but like you can tell that there's like a decent amount of stuff in here. And you're like looking in the bag, like you do get a decent amount of sweets in there. In terms of like chew, like they only take like a couple of chews really, and then gone.
You could chew them. You could chew them for longer.
You could chew them for longer, yeah.
You could chew them for longer, but you'd be weird. I think it's a nice. I think it's a really nice ratio. You're not sitting there chewing for too long. They probably degrade a bit quicker, but I kind of like that because the other jelly sweets kind of get stuck in your teeth.
Yeah,
it becomes a real pain. These don't, which I'm really, I really like these. I like everyone. Just a heads up in advance. I tried these a few weeks ago when we got told about. I ordered them. We got 3 packets, and I went through the first 2. And I was like, Pickle, have you tried these yet? They're amazing. He's like, no, I'm waiting for the show. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll wait 3 weeks then and try the next.
I've just eaten one, and it took me 16 chews before it wasn't really chewable anymore.
You counted how many chews?
Yeah. So I think that's quite good. Like, I don't think that's bad because I think
it's really good.
They say you're supposed to chew stuff like 20 times.
Yeah, to get like actual digestion properties going and so, like actually lose weight apparently.
So I chewed one of these, and realistically, you'd probably have like a couple of these at a time because they're only on the smaller side. So I chewed one, and it took me 16 chews. So on the weight to chew ratio, I'm probably going to rate this fairly high. I think I'm going to rate it an 8.
I got 21.
You must have a smaller mouth than me then.
I do have a smaller mouth than you. I'm a smaller man than you.
I don't understand how that relates to how much chewing you need to do. So what are you gonna give them for the weight to chew ratio?
I'm probably going to go with 8. I want to go 9. I want to go 9. I like these. Like I like everything about them. Yeah. I'll go 8 though, because they're not the biggest. I mean, like, because jerky, you get a lot more chews out of the weight that you get, don't you?
Yeah.
Whereas these, less so. Or like, if you went to bubblegum level where you chewing for days, yeah. So I'll go with 8. Like, yeah, it's a solid 8, possibly a 9, but I'll go with 8 as a solid 8.
Cool. What about the finger residue contamination? So for me, this is going to rate really high because I have had 0 contamination on my fingers from these.
Yeah, I mean, you get maybe a minuscule, a little bit amount of the like sugar coating or whatever it is that's on it. I'm talking minuscule. Nothing compared to like what Haribo's much worse.
Yeah, Tang Fastics are they're pretty bad.
You do get a little bit though, because I literally just wipe some off. I'm going to say 6, possibly a 7, but no, let's go with 7. Actually, they're pretty good.
Actually, I'm going to go with an 8 for finger residue contamination. These are very, very nice, and not having to wipe my hands at all.
Although I am noticing, I'm looking at my fingers and they are kind of shiny afterwards, so I'm wondering if that is another kind of contamination, but I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I'll go with 7.
Okay. And then the last one is the oil index.
I mean, the oil index was mainly designed for dealing with crisps, really, wasn't it? When they're really oily.
Other things can be oily, like Haribo can be oily.
Yeah, true. I mean, I don't find these things that oily. They're not giving me the aftertaste of like what a lot of Haribo do, where it leaves you feeling quite ill after like eating a lot of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you just don't feel well. These, I'm not really getting that. So I'm going to go with a solid 8.
Mm-hmm. What was your weight to chew ratio again? Was it 7?
8. 8 to almost 9.
Yeah. Okay. So oil index, you're going to go with 8. 8 again. Okay.
Yeah.
For oil index, I think I'm going to go with 8. I'm not really noticing any. I mean, I've only had a few. I've eaten less than half a bag. And like normally, if I was eating this sort of stuff, I would eat like a full. Like I would eat the full bag. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah. I found a full strawberry.
A full strawberry.
There's a full strawberry one. There you go. So yeah, they do come in different.
So right. So overall scores then. These are very nice. Like I'm always a bit dubious with like sort of vegetarian stuff and vegan stuff. Like not for any reason, but I've tried like substitute meat stuff in the past, and it's always just been a little bit not right. For me personally, like if you eat it, that's fine. So like anything like this, I'm always a little bit sort of like, is it like, because I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, like I can just eat whatever, and it's sort of like, well, if I was gonna go that way, then I guess I'd rather have something than nothing. But I don't, so I can just eat the real thing. But I have to say, I actually prefer these to Haribo.
Yeah. Right.
They are very nice. In terms of flavour, in terms of like all the stuff that we mentioned, like there doesn't seem to be any sort of nasty aftertaste. There's no sort of like oiliness to them or anything like that. Price wise, I can't remember how much they were, but I got 3 bags. They were like £5 or £6, I think.
I think that was the same as what I got.
Yeah. So that was off Amazon, and that was them delivered. So
you're
maybe
looking at
a little bit more pricey.
Yeah, a little bit more pricey,
but
but not massively
No.
more. Like a bag of Haribo's costing you £1. These are probably costing you $1.60.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So I think overall, I mean, I think I'm gonna have to rate them like. I've got an 8 out of 10 for all the individual scores, so I think I'm probably gonna have to just go with an 8 out of 10 overall.
I'm going with a 9.
You're gonna go with a 9.
Yeah, I really like these. I think these are good wargaming, because the other thing which I didn't really allude to, well, I did kind of allude to it a bit, was you don't feel that bad after eating these.
No.
Yeah, with the Haribo stuff, if you eat a lot, you can feel sick afterwards.
Yeah.
It's just, like, kids, trust me, when you get older and an adult, after eating a whole bag of Haribo, you don't feel that great anymore. I know as a kid, it's phenomenal, but when you're an adult, not so much. These, I don't get that, which makes them amazing. It's like adult jelly sweets. Yeah. There's not much more to say than that, so I'm going with a 9.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think I might join you there at a 9 because as a war game, because all the individual scores, I guess, are for the different things. The flavour's nice, texture's nice, the price isn't that bad. They are, they don't make you feel rubbish afterwards. There's no sort of like, they don't make your teeth feel weird.
Nope.
They are just a very nice sweet. So yeah, I'm going to join you that 9 out of 10. And like, I know that you probably would eat the entire packet, but they come with like a sort of resealable
pack.
Yeah, resealable pack. So if you don't finish it, you can just seal it up. And like Haribo, you always feel like you have to finish them because they're just open. But with these being resealable, that's quite nice. So yeah, 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Tangy worms from Jealous Sweets. Would recommend.
Yeah. Everyone go get some. They're amazing.
And that brings us on to the last section of the show, which is story time, which is where we talk about books or comics or graphic novels or whatever, not menus. And this week we are going to briefly, no spoilers or not many spoilers, but we're going to briefly talk about in another Necron book. Now,
yay!
I think you talked about the first one of these.
Twice Dead King Ruin?
Ruin. You talked about Ruin, I think that was in the first book club.
I think it was, yeah.
And then this is the second one. So this is Twice Dead King Reign, which I literally finished this morning.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask if you finished it or not.
Yep, I finished it this morning. I was going to finish it last night, and then we ended up watching a couple of episodes of Glee, and then I was tired, and I went to bed. I was going to read in bed, but I knew that I'd be able to finish it this morning. I only had I think I had 3 or 4 chapters. So I've been reading more in the morning. It's nice to get up with a coffee and just sit and read rather than looking at screens. So that's what I've been doing most of my reading recently. So yeah, I finished it this morning, and I have to say, as much as I enjoyed the first one, I think I enjoyed this one even more.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. It's I find this book a lot more frustrating, I think, is the kind of the term or phrase I'm going to use with it, because it seems to follow Altix and him making a lot of bad decisions, and he doesn't actually know what he's doing majority of the time.
Yeah, but here's the spoiler warning for everyone. We are going to talk spoilers on this book because we can't really discuss it without talking spoilers. So if you
to be fair,
basic recommendations, if you want to read this book, go and read it and then come back and listen to what we have to talk about. We're not doing a full show on it, but we're going to talk about it for a little bit. So if you want to read it without it being spoiled, tune out now, and I guess try and tune back in a little bit later and see if we've stopped talking about it. But
after 16 hours of a book or something.
But that's it. That's your spoiler warning. So we are now free to talk about the book.
Spoilers.
So I think that like making all those bad decisions and stuff, it was very frustrating all the way through. I was sort of like, why is he so bad at doing this? Like, he's supposed to, like, I don't understand, like, but then, like, the reveal at the end that he has been suffering from the curse, just not in an obvious way to himself, but everybody else knew, apparently.
Yeah,
like,
right?
For the entirety of it, it's sort of like, oh, well, that makes sense why he's, like, not, you know,
not quite right in the head, because he, like, throughout the book he has like weird momentary flashes and like weird moments where he gets stupid thoughts in his head and all kinds of strange things, and it's all a bit like you kind of think, oh, he's having like a nervous breakdown or something like that, and it's not. He's actually got the flare curse, and he's like, from time to time, so like someone dies, he looks at the blood, he's like, oddly, I stared at that for far too long, and then carries on with what he was doing.
See, I kind of suspected that that's where it was going. Like early on, like when he kept getting like that sort of, he described it as like a phantom that kept appearing to him. He kept seeing and stuff, and the way it was described, I was like, that's just surely that's him. But like from like that's what he's going to end up being, like, because
the Bone King.
Yeah. And then when he has like the fight and he loses his eye, I'm like, well, he's only got one eye now, and that thing's only got one eye, and like just the way, and then like I think it's like 2 or 3 chapters from the end, and like it literally ends with like him like killing a dreadnought and like murdering the pilot inside, and the pilot tries to bite him. So then, and then the chapter just ends with him trying to bite it back. And I'm like, oh, there it is. Right. There he goes.
Yeah, there it goes. He's gone.
So, I really enjoyed it.
I really like, a lot of the other characters get a lot more kind of airtime in this one, and it really make you like them a lot. So a couple of characters are like Lysaikor. He's awesome, and Zoltanek. I love Zoltanek. He's such a funny person. He's just the way he kind of talks about himself in the third person a lot of the time. It's like, does Zoltanek think you're going to betray me? Yes, Zoltanek does.
I like to imagine. It's funny that you imagine his voice in like the same sort of way, though. Like,
that's what comes out on the audiobook.
Oh, right. See, I haven't listened to the audiobook.
If you listen to the audiobook, it comes out like that as well. It's like, does Zoltanek do this? Yes, Zoltanek does. And it's brilliant.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it more than the first book, because like the first book, although it is a big story, it is a very sort of personal story. In as much as it's Altic's sort of coming to terms with the fact that he's sort of made up his own memories for the last like 300 years while he's been isolated, and when he comes to sort of face the truths and realise that actually it wasn't quite how he remembered it, sort of thing, and then having to deal with the imminent threat of the crusade that was coming. It was a very sort of personal story, like his sort of redemption almost.
Yep.
Whereas this one is, so it's all based around Altic's. It is his story still. Like, it's not like there's ever any chapter. It's not like Game of Thrones where you'll get a chapter that's based on one character and then you get another chapter that's from a different character. Like, it's all him. But I think the story is much more. It's much wider. And then like I liked how it all wrapped up as well. Like, there's been all these sort of hints and like suggestions all the way through that if you pick up on them, you can sort of see where it's going. But then if you don't, like when you get to the end, it all makes sense.
I like the way that the Crusade have actually been tracking them.
Yes,
because like throughout the book, he's like, someone's betraying me, and he starts like murdering people and cutting people down, and then it finds out it's like, oh, it's the gold.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the gold.
Yeah, I thought that was fun.
Oh, no.
But when we get to the end and it's like, you know, it turns out that he's actually just been suffering from the curse, but he's just had he's done a much better job of sort of dealing with it than most other Necrons do. It's still not clear to me, like, by the end, like, because, like, the last couple of chapters, like, it says, like, when he's speaking, like, that his voice module thing is sort of, like, starting to fail and stuff, like, but, like, the way that he, like, is he transforming? Like, is he going to be a flayed one, or is he, like, is he still an overlord?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think he's going to be the Flayed One King.
Yeah.
By the sounds of it, which is going to be really interesting on the third book. It's an
interesting. The thing that I love about these two books and the Infinite and the Divine, is how much character and insight they are giving to Necrons. Just like the Flayed Ones have always just been described as sort of mindless ghouls that have fallen into this curse, and all they're bothered about is just chopping people up and wearing them. Like, and that's it. But then, like, the little bit of insight it gives at the end into, like, they do have, like, their minds do still work. They might work a little bit differently, but they are still there. And like that sort of, it's
like what was it? Who's the Razor? What's his name?
Yannick.
Yannick. He's the like weird sense of morality throughout this entire book, and it's really tragic because he basically gets exiled / executed because Oltex has a tantrum. And then at the end, he's like, "Nah, I did want to hate you, but I'm not." And he's just this kind of nice, peaceful calm about the Flayed Ones. It's like, yeah, we like killing people, but it's natural. So, be happy with yourself.
It's just that sort of thing. There's a weird sort of like sub message about just accepting who you are, and once you do that, you'll be a lot happier. Like, it's weird.
It's very strange, but good. And it's a good book. I'm not sure if I like it versus. Well, to be honest with you, I'm just waiting for the third one. I'm not even going to put them against each other. I like them equally, and I really want to see where it goes with the third one. Just because, as you say, it adds so much character to the Necrons because you get to see like what their society was like and what was implied by their society, because they were basically a case of our society is built on strength. Any kind of compassion is weakness, and therefore you must be purged or killed. And no one is sacred apart from the Overlord. So everyone else is just mindless dribble, and that's kind of the entire philosophy throughout the Necron tier. And then when they get the Necrons, they're kind of the same, but they're like having trouble dealing with it. And they're kind of like, well, should we still be this way? Because do we have to be? And it's interesting as well that like killing a leader is called regicide. And I was like, that's a 40k thing from something else. So now I'm all kinds of confused.
Well, regicide is just killing a king. That's normal. That's not even a 40k thing. That's just
because they were playing in 40k and I think 30k. They play regicide a lot, and I was like, I didn't actually know that was a real thing. So I've learned something today. Regicide is killing kings.
Regicide is what it's called when you kill a king. There's something else side is when you kill like your father. I can't remember what it's called. But it mentions that in the first book because he tried like his father is the king, so it's regicide and whatever.
Daddy side.
Yeah, but yeah, regicide. That's a real thing. That's a real life term for like.
I've learned. I'm enlightened and inspired.
It's a good book. I think I prefer it to the first one just because I feel like. And this is probably just me, but like the first book, like I didn't really understand what was happening properly until maybe sort of halfway through, 2/3 of the way through.
Okay.
Like not that I didn't understand, but it felt a bit it was a bit slow going to start with.
Sure.
But then by the end of it, I was well into it and I really enjoyed it. I do like the first one, but this second one I think is just solid all the way throughout. Like I don't feel like there's anything that's a bit slower or anything like that. So I think I think it just beats out the first one for me.
Okay. Do you like it more than Infinite and the Divine?
They're very different books.
Yeah, they are.
They are very different books. And I think that the other thing as well is that because this is part of a trilogy, so there was a book before it and there's going to be a book after it, you can't really judge. I think you'd have to judge the trilogy against the Infinite and Divine rather than each book.
Sure.
Because it's all going to be one long story. Whereas the Infinite Divine is one book, but that's just one story. So it's hard to say. I like them both for different reasons. Like the Infinite Divine, again, adds loads of character, but it's also got a lot of humour. Whereas this has little bits of humour and little bits of, like, not necessarily like the Necrons telling jokes, but like how stuff's written.
Like when Denek summons the monolith.
Oh, God. Do you know what? I've been waiting for that to happen. I've been waiting for that to happen for 2 books. I know that these are going to turn up at some point.
It was like the smallest moment as well. It's just like, and he summoned a monolith,
and then he got blown up. Yeah, it's like the bit in the first book with the tachyon arrow that takes down the Titan. It's just those little bits of comedy that just adds a little bit of something. But no, I'd highly recommend reading this if you've not already, or listening to it. I believe is it done by Richard Reed again?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's read by Richard Reed. It was written by
Nate Crowley, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was written by Nate Crowley. So yeah, I'd highly recommend getting it. I can't wait for the third one. Hopefully it'll not be too long because it was only a few months between the first and the second one.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. So here's hoping the third is on the way.
Yeah, because I'm very eager to read it. I've got a couple of other books I can read in the meantime. Not Necron ones, but something else I can read. But I'm very much looking forward to the third one of these. Just because of where it's left off. Basically, Oryx is now a flayed king. I'm not 100% sure what that's going to look like.
Yeah, because it looks like there's other dynasties as well that are in part of his.
Yeah, so it's basically like loads and loads of flayed ones have all just sort of flocked to him, and they are all like now answering to him and seeing him as their king, but as a flayed king. Now, whether he stays like doesn't transform physically too much, and is like able to lead like that, or I don't know what's going to happen because it's not everything else so far has been like, it's a model that you can play in the game sort of thing, but there isn't a flayed one king. Like there isn't a flayed lord you can have in game. So
I'm really, really hoping that Zarek shows up, and you'd be like, "Oh, the Silent King's in this one," and just see what happens. That would be like a cool way to end off the trilogy if Zarek's in it in some way. That would be cool.
It would be cool. I'll be interested to see how it would tie in, though. Like,
right.
But I'm looking forward to it anyway. I'm looking forward to the third one. Hopefully, we'll get some news on that some point soon as to when that's coming out. But
Sweet beans.
That was our story time book club section. So if you've got any suggestions for books to read or books for us to discuss or anything else, like I said, they don't have to be books. They can be other different reading materials as well. Drop them in the suggestions channel over on the Pickle Jar Discord, along with any other suggestions for topics to talk about, for foods to try, all that sort of stuff. Drop them all over there. And with that brings us to the end of another podcast. We've like really gone over this time.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a catch up episode because we didn't we haven't chatted that much, so a little bit of a catch up. And the sweet, I think we spent a little bit longer on Snack Attack than normal as well.
Yeah, well, it was worth it because they're very tasty. I'm going to eat the rest of them today, I think.
Right.
But yeah, thank you very much for listening to this episode or watching this episode if you are watching on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, you can find us on Google Podcasts, you can find us on YouTube now if you want to listen on there. So however you want to consume the content, there is somewhere for you to be able to do it. Elston, where can people find you on the World Wide Web?
Oh, I am on my own YouTube channel, Elston Nation. Just put it to YouTube, you'll find me there. I do have a Facebook page, Elston Nation Minis, and that's pretty much where you find me. If you want to get in contact with us, drop us a PM or DM or whatever you want to use for a messaging service, and we shall try to answer it. If not, the other place would be over the Discord, but I'll let Pickle talk about that.
Yeah, so if you want to get in touch with me, you can find me on my Discord, where I am most of the time. Try and be as active on there as I can. But if not, then the moderators on there are doing an absolutely fantastic job. So if you've got any questions or suggestions, drop them over on the Discord. There'll be a link for that down below in the description. As for me, myself, you can find me over on my YouTube channel, which is The Pickle Jar. Again, link for that down below, along with a link for my live stream channel, where I live stream every Wednesday evening and every other Sunday morning. So, yeah, if you want to come and check us out at any of those places, do so. You can obviously follow us on Instagram. I've got a Facebook page set up. I don't really use it very often. And yeah, if you want to help support what we're doing here, the best way to do that at the moment is just to share it out with anyone that you think would be interested in listening to us ramble on about wargaming-ish related stuff. Yeah, because we haven't got anything set up for donations or anything like that. So just share us out and help to get more people listening to the show, listening to the podcast. That's the best way to
Sharing
support
is
us.
caring.
Sharing is caring. And on that note, we're going to end it. So thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
There we go. Podcast done.